welcome to the April SOF pod. We're going to start with a poem and then we'll have a couple of minutes of silence. So the invitation at this point is to settle in, sit back, relax, close your eyes or look out the window, and just give yourself permission to arrive in the room. So I've gone back again to Donna Ashworth and Wild Hope, and this poem is called Spring. I've always believed spring to be the harbinger of hope, the launch pad to lighter days, the gateway to life. Spring soothes our winter-worn souls with anticipation and its promise of more. It gently shakes our hibernating toes and whispers, "Wake now, your wintering days are done." And so with each eager sunrise, we emerge, we reignite, we re-energize. And as with the nature around us, we begin to rise and renew. Come on in, spring. We have much longed for your light, for your joy, for your new. We are slowly rousing from slumber. Welcome back. Just take time now to close your eyes. Take some breaths intentionally. Enjoy the next 90 seconds. Take a couple of really deep breaths through your nose, the deepest breath you've taken today. We have a stretch and a wiggle. Welcome into the room. So April in the world of SOF, the word of the month is awakening. And it does feel like the world is awakening around us. If you happen to have a garden, I'm hoping you're noticing that there is greenery coming through, even in the rain. For those of you in Spain, I mean, you'll be telling us that's been around for a while. And at this point, I'm looking at Camilla and Hannah. So lucky you. And then other things to notice, though, and I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, but this week it's all a little bit higgledy-piggledy in the energies that are floating around. I don't know if anyone else has experienced that. And you know, I love a little bit of the woo and a little bit of the way. And if you look at the astrology of this week and next week, there's something called Mercury retrograde happening. And so Mercury is all about communication. And when something goes retrograde, it means it looks like it's spinning backwards. And a lot of the old wives say that in a Mercury retrograde, we need to be aware of our communication and how things are being shared and how things are being said. And apparently it is in conjunct with something called Aries, and Aries is very fiery. So you might find either yourself or even others, when you're having conversations with them, it all gets a bit spiky, or there might be some miscommunication that's occurring. And it all just feels a bit out of the blue. So like last week, I had a great conversation with a client this week, and she just said, I've just had a day of like, and she's Dutch, but she knows her English is fantastic. She's like, curveballs. Like literally every meeting I went into, it all went wrong. And I just laughed. I was like, yeah. She said, but last week was brilliant. Everything felt flowy. It was all lovely. And I have to say, I've got something I feel quite similar in many different ways. So I was like, yeah. And then also there's the eclipses. So when you have an eclipse season, it's an invitation to let go and renew. And the eclipse lasts 3 moons. So an invitation to notice what started in October last year that you might have been resisting to let go of. If you were to go back to October 13th, 14th, what was occurring? Was there anything now that it's sort of making you go, oh yeah, I do need to let go of this? And it might be something physical, it might be something emotional, it could be a limiting belief. But there's these patterns that start to play out. And sometimes it's just nice, I think just, you don't have to live by the stars, but just sometimes noticing their messages and noticing their rhythms is just useful, because you go, oh yeah, some of that is happening for me rather than to me. But I thought I'd just share that in typical Kirsty land. And it's quite ironic, I've just realized as well. What are we talking about today? We're talking about websites, like another platform for communication. Can anyone else? I know what happened in October. Something really like jarring happened for me, and it's playing out again right now, which is just really surreal. But it's only because it was a big event for me. It's weird. So I don't know. These things happen. Everyone's now going. I can see people's faces going, October, what happened in October? Where was I? Oh, yay, Rhiannon, thank you. Yeah, sometimes deciding to bring something to an end, it is scary, because you think, oh God, what am I about? What's going to happen next? Like, where is the space? Like this space, the void. We call it in our team, trust the void. You know, when you have those quiet moments in your diary and you're projecting forward maybe just even 3 months and you see nothing. Or when I say nothing, I mean like client paid work. It can flip our stomachs, and you do go, but I trust the void. The right things will come that are better for you. So yeah. Anyway, today we have Alice with us. So everyone give Alice a wave.
Hello. Hi guys.
So Alice is someone who often comes to the pods. She can't come to gatherings yet because she lives all the way down in Cornwall. But Alice, in a previous incarnation, was a website designer, and now she's all about copy. So what we thought we would do today is talk a bit about websites, like what makes a good website, what is it about copy, why do we have websites, why don't we have websites, what do people do, what people don't do. Alice, I'm going to do the poll and then I'll do some introductions. So let's just do a quick poll, because you know what I'm like. Let's just get a sense check in the room. Who has a website? So just click yes, no, not yet, or no, I use social media. Oh, interesting. So everyone, yep, one person not, or is that me? Am I the one person that's not clicked? Okay, probably. Stop giggling at me, Ashley. I can see you. Okay, here are the results, team. So over half of us have websites, so I'd be in there as well. We've got the no, not yet. And oh, we have got, I put that last comment in because I thought, no, everyone will have either be a yes or a no. No, I use social media. Interesting. Interesting. Alice, we're going to keep an eye on that and we're going to talk to it. Alice, would you like to introduce yourself? Like, who are you? What do you do? Where do you come from?
It's like blind date, isn't it?
It is. I do feel like that.
Yeah, I am Alice. I used to be a website designer. I'm now a copywriter. And my job is to help your customers overcome the obstacles and hesitations that are standing in their way that are holding them back from working with you. If, of course, they are a good fit for you. I live down in Cornwall. I'm waiting for Kirsty to do a Southwest meetup. We can throw surf lessons in there and all sorts, I'm sure. But yeah, hopefully today we will get a feel for what you feel about your website, what role you feel it plays in your business, whether obviously some people may not feel that they're necessary, they're not for everyone, but it's just really good to get a general gist of where you are. And so hopefully by the end of this session, whether you use websites or not, there will be some ideas of how you can communicate better with your customers, and get more, help more people come to work with you and overcome those obstacles and hesitations, whatever that they might be for your sort of target ideal clientele.
So a question for the group, especially those who said like, no, I don't have a website or I use social media. Out of curiosity, what stops you from creating and having a website? Can you write your thoughts down in the chat? So what stops you from maintaining it? Oh, interesting. Okay. Knowing where to start. Yeah, I hear you, Nicole. Oh, you're not convinced it would bring me any more work. Okay, Joanna. Yeah, so just knowing what needs to go on it, I think that's a good point, Ethna. Ah, that's interesting, Sarah. Yeah, so people actually ask to see it. Actually, it's one more bloody thing to have to go off and do. That's fair. Ah, choosing a future-proof platform. Okay. Anything else for anyone else? Oh, a lack of, do you believe that, Alice, that a lack of a website impacts your credibility?
It depends what you do. I always, my perspective is that yes, LinkedIn, yes, social media, Instagram are great tools to find the right people. However, these platforms are built to keep you there. They're designed for you to keep scrolling, even if it's LinkedIn, which feels professional. We all know Instagram is like, we end up doom scrolling. We go on with an intention, 20 minutes later we find we're doing something totally different and looking at, for me it's staffy videos, or like anything to do with Japan, but they're built for people to just keep scrolling, and the algorithms there really I feel hold us back from really communicating who we are and what we do. So I feel having a website is that credibility to say, this is my space, I'm owning this space, there are no distractions here. And if you've got someone on your website, that's half the battle done. You've got them off that social media platform if that's where you're acquiring your customers. So for me, yes, it is a credibility tool, not just because you've dedicated the time and the energy to put it together, but you're honing their attention, okay. Which means they're more serious about working with you as well if they're on your website.
Okay, so we're going to do a variety of different activities just to get us thinking about websites, but also thinking about what are the core ingredients. So which way do you want to go first, Alice? Breakout room, or should we talk about what are some of the core ingredients on a good website as far as you're concerned? If someone's starting out and they're thinking, like we've had that, like where do I start? Like what should be on a website? You talk, I'll type.
I think, and it's apparent in the chat, that it's a big task. You feel like there's a lot to do. Your competitors probably have 20 pages and a giant blog and all these events and packages. And I see that as such a debilitating thing that stops people from moving forwards, when in actual fact, a website can be 1 page or 2 pages and it can be effective. For me, the starting point is understanding what you want people to do when they land on your website. What do you want them to think and feel about you when they arrive on your website? And that can be communicated in 1 page. So for me, like a good website is going to explain to me what this person does, who they help, and a lot of the time how they're different from their competitors, especially in the coaching space. If you have a membership, or you've got a course, or you run workshops, there are so many people doing something similar to you that showing how you're different, communicating that differentiator is an absolute must. So what you do, who you do it for, and why people should pay attention to you and stay on your website, as opposed to going off and looking at one of your competitor websites. Those three things communicated early on when someone's scrolling your website. So that could be at the top of every page. That could be, you know, in the first third of the page. So someone landing on your website immediately thinks, okay, I'm in the right place, or I'm not in the right place, in which case, you know, you're not going to have accidentally like bad leads coming through. As much as it is gaining the attention of the right people, it's also about telling the wrong people to not bother and waste their time. Because I don't know about you, but I've definitely had clients come through for a call, and maybe they haven't looked at my website, but they're not a good fit. So, you know, it's going to save you time and energy, and them time and energy in the long run.
Brilliant. Just so we can get it out of the way, and I'll write the list. What are the nuts and bolts that you have to have on a website now, just from a legality piece, a sort of code of conduct piece? There's some key things, aren't there, that we just all need to have if we're considering our website. Could you just list those for us, Alice?
Yeah, absolutely. So you need a cookie policy. Cookies are like the little trackers that track what people are doing when they're on your website. Most website building platforms will give you an option, and some of them will give you a template to do that. So you can understand, so the people that are using your site can understand whether they're tracking your activity or not. And you can turn this off. Like, we've all seen those little pop-ups at the bottom of websites or in the corner when you arrive. A website terms of use is really important, and that kind of sets the stage for how people should be using your website. If you have intellectual property, it basically says this stuff's mine and you can't use it, but there are standards for using it. So being polite, if you're like using comments, not stealing people's information and things like
that. Nice.
Then privacy policy, if you're collecting people's information, is really important as well. And that basically what that says is, I keep your information safe, you're going to follow GDPR guidelines, and people can have a point of contact if they need to, if they have any queries about it. There are like free templates online. I don't know if I'd recommend them, but if anyone is looking for these documents afterwards, I have a woman I work with who's specializes in these kinds of contracts for coaches and consultants. So if anyone is like, at the end I can send you some links and things like that if you need a reliable source to get
Alice,
these.
you just had a question in the chat box as well. Can privacy and cookie policies be the same document?
Lots of people combine them. The way I've been taught it, and I'm not a legal expert. Lots of people, when I say copywriter, think I do copyright law, which is totally different. Copywriting for me is writing copy. Copy is the text on a website, or it might be the text in an email, it might be the text on another platform. From a legal perspective, I've been shown that they should be separate, but I have seen lots of people combine them. So I can find out for you what the official legal response to that is.
Well, what I was also going to say was I'll find it. We've had Lucy Legal on here before, who is a lawyer, and Lucy also has a template pack for all of a website. I was just going to find her link and drop that in the chat box for you. And also, I think you get a discount because you go through SOF.
Oh, nice.
Leave that one with me. I'll find you that team. So is that some of the legalities, some of the formal things we need to have? What other elements do you consider that you think just a just a good website should also include, so, we've got the what do you do, who do you help, how are you different, but then visuals, like a way of contacting you. Are those some of the things that should be included?
Absolutely. Contact page 100%. Even if it's information, even if you have a one-page website and that information is in the footer, so the footer is the bottom section, it's usually where you find all those little legal links, but making
Mm,
it clear how people can contact you. And that's got to work for you as much as it's got to work for everyone else. Because sometimes you see, you know, a telephone number, a fax number, a email, a contact form, and actually sometimes that can be quite confusing for people. So the way I would think about it is, like, what do you have time for? Do you have time for people calling you up? Do you want people calling you up? In which case, just because everyone else has a telephone number on their website does not mean that you have to as well. So
mm,
find a form of communication that you're happy with. Set parameters on how quickly you'll get back to them, and tell people that. That's something that I see so often on websites is a contact page, contact information, but I don't know whether it's going to take you 2 hours or 2 weeks to get back to me. And that can actually cause some frustration with potential customers, potential clients, if they're not totally aware of what those response expectations are, and it puts
yeah.
them at ease. It's one of those floating question marks that they might have in their head around contacting you, that can just be a bit of a comfort for them, and sometimes means they're more likely to contact you if they understand what that relationship looks like ahead of time. So whether it's a contact page, whether it's just really clear information in your footer on how people can contact you, a contact page is a must. A small section, if not an entire page, about who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Mm,
So that could look like an about page. If you're going for this one pager, it could just be a section and a banner about what you do. Because I'm, by the looks of things, most people here are coaches, consultants. There's going to be at least some level of one-to-one conversation with your clients. So giving them a bit of a flavour of who you are, what qualifies you to do this. Sometimes you see about pages that are just a list of all of someone's qualifications. That can be quite off-putting. So when you're writing about yourself, ask yourself every single sentence, every single qualification that you want to communicate. Why does my customer care? How and why does this develop their need to engage with me? If it's like, I climbed a mountain and I've got 3 kids and I love coffee, does your customer care about that? How is it going to make you look better and more qualified to do this job? The job being overcoming a problem, or solving
yeah.
creating a solution for someone.
And
So
it's just as you're saying that, it makes me think of when this is more when you're in sales mode, people put like a slide in their pitch deck and the first slide is all about them and their business, and I'm like, they don't give a shit. I told Disney that once. I was training a lot of Disney people and they always want to put 2 slides up front about the Disney magic, and I just like, I'm really sorry, Tesco don't care. They want to know what problem you're going to solve for them. Put it at the back of the deck by all means, because by then they might be curious, but I'm really sorry, they're not interested. And the same is true for us. It's like, what's the problem we're here to solve, and how can I help you do that? Because at the end of the day, people just want to know, what can you do for me? Um,
absolutely.
photos. I'm a big one on photos. If you look at the SOF website, I think that I just love a good photo, and I get really irritated on about pages when I can't find any detail about the people behind the website or any photos. And some of the bigger corporations, or even like in our industry, facilitation training businesses, don't have any photos of their people or even talk about their people. I'm like, what are you, just a machine?
Yeah, and I think when we think about obstacles and hesitations that someone might have that will stop them from engaging with you, whether that's signing up to an email list or booking a workshop or a discovery call,
Yeah.
A lot of those obstacles and hesitations, especially when we're working one-to-one with people, are like, am I going to get on with them? And is there going to be a bit of rapport? And
Yeah.
literally having a photograph of yourself, that's approachability created just from the single image. And when we talk about images across the whole website, I think the way to go about putting images is like, is this image going to improve how someone understands what I'm talking about in the little bit of copy that goes next to it, in the bit of text that goes next to it? Because often we'll look at a website template and there's 7 images on a page. So I'm like, right, okay, your natural instinct is to fill in those 7 image boxes. But what you want to think about is letting the words lead. So whatever you've written, think, will an image improve how someone understands this? Will it add texture or context to it? If the answer is no, you don't need an image. That's my opinion, because when you're scrolling through a website, eyes are going to be drawn to big text, which is headlines, crossheads, possibly testimonials because they look a bit different. They're going to be drawn to images. And if your eye is drawn to an image that has nothing to do with the text next to it, your eye is drawn to the image before the text, and they miss the text, that could be really important information that they're missing out on. So I would be sparing with your images. Obviously, on your about page, you're talking about you. It's going to be beneficial to have images of you, maybe images of you in your natural environment. For me, that's like on the beach. But also my natural environment is working with clients. So if there's pictures of you interacting with people and doing what you do best, that can help just bring more context and help you look a lot more approachable as well.
So you've talked about like it's okay to even just have like a 1 page, a 2 page.
Yeah.
Is there are there rules of thumb about how many pages to have on a website? Or is it just preference and
No,
what you say?
no, there isn't. But they all need a purpose. They all need to. There all needs to be a reason why they're there. And I think potentially in a breakout room in a minute, or if not, Kirsty, this is something to consider after we've jumped off the call, is what do you want people to do when they're on your website? Having that front of mind before you start building anything, writing anything, creating any packages, writing your about page. What do you want people to do when you are there, when they are there?
Yeah.
That's book a discovery call. Think to yourself, what information does someone need to know to feel comfortable and confident to get on a discovery call with me? And that will likely be understanding what you do, who you do it for, and what makes you different, like we spoke about at the start.
Yeah.
Understanding a bit about who you are. It could be understanding what your offerings are, if that's a one-to-one package or a series of workshops. Do they need to know anything else to feel confident booking a discovery call with you?
Yeah.
And that
Nice.
takes away a lot of the extra pages that a lot of people feel like they need to have. And an example of this is when I go on a website and I want to look at their about page, and I'd like to know in the comments if anyone else is either if they have this on their website, it might be interesting, or if they've experienced it looking at other people's websites. So I want to learn about who they are. And I click on the about in the header navigation right at the top, and there's like 6 pages that come down. And there's our mission, our people, our story, sustainability, and I don't know which one of those to click to answer my question of like, do I want to work with this company or person? And a lot of those sort of extra pages that people feel like they should have comes from what my competitor's doing. I'm probably going to do something similar to that. And hopefully this exercise takes away your feeling, if you have it, that you need all of these pages to have an effective website. So ask yourself, what do I want people to do on this website to feel confident to do X action, to take X action, which is like their end goal. It's the one
Okay.
thing that you want them to do most. How can you strip everything back? So it's a really simple journey for someone. There's a minimal pages that they need to go through to get to that end goal. Because if I've got 25 pages that I need to go through to get to booking a discovery call, how many opportunities are there for me to go off piste, to get distracted, to go and read 25 other blog posts before I get to that end goal? And it's thinking about making that journey as short and as sweet and streamlined as possible, so it's going to get them to that goal, to hit that point sooner. Therefore, they're more likely to, if there's less of those sort of opportunities to go off piste.
Alice, why don't we do this? We've got two things we're going to do. So if anyone's got a website that they fancy putting in the chat box that Alice and I can have a look at whilst you go off to a breakout room, we'll be able to probably do one each. If anyone's got a website that they'd like us to have a look at, drop your you know what I mean, drop your link in the chat now. Suddenly there's like a plethora of messaging going on. Yes, the URL, Mr. Barr, thank you very much. Can't find my words.
This is either where we get loads of people's email addresses or loads of people's websites, or no one wants to come forward.
No, it's good. Of course, Mr. Cooper, I need be in there.
Great, thank you guys.
Thanks, Annette. Thanks, Grace. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go into breakout rooms. So the question is, I'm just going to put it in the chat box. What do I want people to do, feel, and think when on my website? Now, even if you don't have a website, I'd like you to imagine that you do. And even if you're using LinkedIn, I guess the same is true. What do I want people to do, feel, or think when they come to my LinkedIn page or my social media? It's a great question. So you're going to go into groups of 3. There's 1, 2. Say hi to your newfound friends, and then have a chat. Like, what do you want people to do, feel, or think? I think it'd be really useful. So you've got 8 minutes. It's a whistle stop tour, as it always is. If you want to accept the breakout, and Alice and I are going to start looking at websites. Welcome back, team. How are you? So it'd be really right. We've got 2 things to do here. We might go over the hour, so if you do need to leave, do just leave. Let's start. You guys choose. Do you want us to share some feedback on the websites that we've just been looking at, or would you like to share what you've been talking about? Hands up if you want us to do websites first. Oh, it's going to be 50-50, isn't it? And then hands up who said they want to share what they've just talked about.
No.
Okay, we do websites. Right, websites is. And Lizzie, is your hand up? Oh no, it's not. I see what you're doing. See what you've done there, Lizzie.
I raised it for the first question, and then it did the virtual thing where it picked up on my hand.
Oh, you must have a Mac and it does the
confused me.
clever.
Mm.
Do a love heart.
Oh,
You do love hearts. You get love heart. I don't do it because I haven't got a Mac.
I haven't got a Mac either, actually. So that's not working. Is
Oh,
it?
okay. On the Macs, if you do
It
love
does
heart.
it for the hand, but not the love heart.
Sorry, anyone watching this back. Lizzie and I are having our little moment. Okay, let's have a look at some of the websites. Alice, where do you want to start? Sort of topic wise.
Let me just share my screen with you guys.
And as Alice said, thank you so much for sharing what you shared. Oh, straight in there, Miss Cairns, Annette, thank you.
Yeah, Annette, it's super clear to start with. I really like how the information's laid out because everything has space to breathe. There's one section, there's nothing distracting from just this section here. So I think you did really well with this. Particular shout out to who you help. If someone's on your website and they're not sure quite what to do, this is a really good sort of navigational point where someone is not sure what to do, but they can self-identify, and it's sort of a check mark on their head of, yes, I'm in the right place. And the more of those sort of head nodding moments that you get when someone's on your website, the more open they are to absorb everything else. So I really liked what you did with that. One thing that I just noticed right at the start when you come on, obviously it's really clear what you do, with this introductory headline, but with the button here, explore, I've got an option to either talk or explore. Now, I'm not quite sure what I'm exploring, so this is a note on getting people to move through your website. If you have multiple pages that you want people to be viewing and they're really important to help someone make an informed decision and a confident decision, they want to work with you or they want to talk to you, making it really clear what they're going to be getting the other side of that button. I know it sounds really tiny, but if people aren't actively moving through your website, they're going to stay really far away from that end goal. They're not going to get to that end point where they book a discovery call. Which one are we talking about at the moment? So this is Green Shed. Can everyone see my screen? Yeah, great. So Green Shed, which is, who's Green Shed? Annette. So the explore button here, I don't know what's going to happen when I click on this button. So if I don't know what's on the other side of this button, what am I going to click it because I could be taken somewhere completely not the direction that I want to go. So making it clear what's on the other side of a button, whether that's what page am I going to or what values the other side for me, that's going to encourage me to click through because I know there's something in it for me. But if there's that sort of floating question mark around, is this going to be wasted energy? Am I going in the wrong direction? People aren't going to click. So you may find that people are going to, few people will click here. And in fact, it actually just takes you to the next section on the homepage. So in which case you may not really need that because people are naturally going to be scrolling anyway. So that might just be sort of a friction point for someone early on your page when you want that nice sort of fluid experience where there's none of those friction points that stop people from moving forwards. I know it feels like a really small thing, but the more of those friction points there are, the more people are on the back foot of, is this right for me? Do I know what's ahead of me? Do I know that there's going to be value later on in this experience on this website?
Cool. Can I do one?
Yeah, go for it. Which one are you going for?
I am going to share. It's like the drum roll. Who she got? Just need to let you all know, I now have 3 screens to play with. Nick Barr, you'd be proud. And I now have to work out which screen has got what on.
I'm incredibly jealous.
I want to show you Suzanne's actually. So where are we going? What can you see?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
See, Nick's laughing because now I can't see anything. So what I really loved about Suzanne's website is her business is called The Texturalists. I mean, even for a British person to say, and Suzanne's German. So what I love is the fact that there's texture throughout the whole of her website. If you can see that. So every page has like, I just feel like you could touch it. So that to me, it's sort of the images and the way it was laid out spoke to the brand name. It's like, it feels like it's all on brand, like all the colors as well. And the other thing I really loved is, this sounds really naff, guys. And I know if you look right at the bottom here, there's a date, it says 2024. It's really important. And I don't know why, you can tell us, Alice, that we update that bottom line for the date. And Alice said to me, because some of you haven't updated the bottom date, Claire, yours says 2019. And as Alice said, some people unconsciously then go, oh, are they still in business or is this website defunct? I was like, I never thought about it like that. So all these different kinds of information that we take by just looking at a website. So another thing, so why do we have to update that date, Alice? Is there a reason?
I'm sure there is. For me, from the way I see it is, I mean, it's the legality side of things that I'm sure you can ask.
We'll ask Lucy.
Lucy, that's what her name is. Lucy, what the legal side of it is. To me, as a user, it says you are up to date, you are looking at best practice, you're aware of what's going on around you and you're paying attention. I've definitely been on websites before that I've spent ages scrolling around, and I see a date at the bottom and it says like 2012 to 2016, and in my head that says, okay, maybe I've wasted my time in this business isn't running anymore. On the flip side of that, if someone sees the last date you updated it was 2020, either that makes you look like, well, if that makes you look like you're not in business, that might mean someone just leaves your website thinking that you're not going to be contactable. It's not worth their energy trying to contact you to maybe not get a response.
Yeah, that's fair.
That it's something really tiny. Really only you need to have like the date of the year that we're in now. You don't have to have a to and from date. But again, from a user perspective, I have gone on websites and it says, they've been running since 2010. And to me, that's just an indication of they've been doing this for a really long time. So they're probably quite good at it compared to someone who's been doing it 2 years. If you've been doing it 2 years, you don't need to have your start date. And it's not fundamental, but it's just those really tiny little indicators to someone using a website.
So Alice, we'll move on, otherwise we're not going to get through this. Do you want to do another
Sure.
one of the websites that you looked at?
Yes, let's go to Grace's.
Grace is like, oh.
Yeah. So immediately I know who you are because there's a picture there, which, because your website is your name, that's a really nice, like, approachable point straight away. I'm assuming if your workshops are one-to-one, that gives me that breaks down that barrier of me versus you straight away, which is really nice. However, one thing I would say is, and this is something that I've seen on almost every website, and I think I found it on Kirsty's as well, is that when you talk about what you can do for other people, you talk about, I can do this for you. Okay, so I've been helping people to do X, Y, and Z. I have seen the development in my ability. I love to bring everything I've learned to people learning to perform. That puts you in the driver's seat. And in this relationship of you versus someone scrolling a website, that makes you more important in this relationship. And what I would suggest that you try and do is flip it on its head. People are only on their website to get something for themselves. So rather than saying, I love to bring everything I've learned from performing about how to communicate in an engaging way, how about saying, you will learn everything there is to know about communicating in an engaging way. So you're putting your customers, your potential customers, in the driver's seat. And I don't know if people are aware of like Joseph Campbell's idea of the hero's journey. But essentially, there's a hero, they have an obstacle to overcome. They need this guide, this person as a guide, to help them overcome the problem. And this is like a narrative in almost every movie that you've ever seen. I like to use the analogy of the Barbie movie. I don't know if anyone's seen the Barbie movie, but Margot Robbie's the central character. She's in the scene pretty much all of the time, but she needs Weird Barbie to help her overcome these problems. And without Weird Barbie, she's not going to find the real world and find the person who's really sad. But Weird Barbie is such a minor role. Now, in your website, you are Weird Barbie, sorry. But you're the minor role. You are the facilitator. You're secondary in this relationship. It's your customer who's the hero, who needs to be the center of attention. It's them that needs to feel like they are going to achieve all of this and they are going to be the most important in this relationship between the two of you. It's not you saying, I'm really great at this and I can do this and I'll help you. It's flipping it on its head. One way that you can actually put this into practice is by starting every sentence with the word you. You will achieve, you will overcome, and use that as a starting point so that they feel they're supported, they feel like they are really going to be paid attention to in this scenario. And if you don't like Barbie, you can think of like the Frodo Gandalf relationship. Gandalf is a minor character, but integral to them destroying the ring. But Frodo is the center of attention. He's the one that's flawed. He's the one that needs the help. He needs to be the one that's at the center of attention.
I always think of Star Wars is a classic Joseph Campbell journey. A lot of people smiling, like Luke Skywalker and Yoda.
Yeah.
Love it. Absolute gold, as someone said, you know, you are weird, Barbie. That is my quote of the day. Now, team, I'm very conscious it's 10 o'clock and I'm always want to honor your time. I'm going to stay on, obviously, for at least another probably 20 minutes if anyone wants to stay and chat. And also happy I looked at Lizzie's and also Claire's website, so I'm really happy to share any thoughts. If anyone wants to stay on, feel free. Can we just say a massive thank you to Alice? Alice, you've got an offer on at the moment where you're helping people with their websites and the copywriting. Can you just tell the team about it and drop a link?
Yeah, absolutely. It was going to be on till the end of today, but because I'm talking to you now, then maybe I'll extend it to tomorrow. But I have like a website audit power hour. I'm taking 20% off until the end of tomorrow. And we just spend an hour on Zoom looking at sort of those high level elements that might be friction points for your customers. So how can we smooth out those friction points to get more people to reach that end goal, to take the action that you want them to? I will put my link in the chat and get that out to you guys.
Thank you. And if anyone's watching this back, that offer's probably not available anymore, but do message Alice, and she's found on LinkedIn and Instagram as Alice writes copy. Team, thank you for being here today. Good to see you. We're back again in May. I'm hosting it on my own on May, I think. We need a topic. We'll do something. I'm probably going to be some singing as you come in the room. So at the gathering this last month, we had the amazing Sanderson Jones with us, and some of you may know him from Sunday Assembly. And one of his things is singing. And we had lyrics to Bonnie Tyler, I Need a Hero. And there was a lot of power stance and gestures and singing out loud between the 10 of us who were in the room. It was brilliant. So yeah, expect that as you walk in the room. And an invitation to be on mute, but to sing your heart out. Thanks for being here today. Massive thanks to Alice. Good to see so many of you, and I hope to see you all again in May.